Okay, so since I'm on the storyboard, I do want to kind of push through, power through, because I don't want to sit on this too long. Which is why I'm kind of priming myself to continue on, on this story. And so that's why, like this last video, I talk about the sex magic ritual stories that are going on with P. Diddy to kind of, because it's hard to tell this story without injecting my opinions. And the more I do that, the more difficult it is, because I'm relying on whoever's listening to the story is going to connect these dots. But the problem is, just using something as simple as the Necronomicon symbol as an example. If you're not aware what the Necronomicon symbol actually symbolizes and stuff, then when I talk about it in the story, you're going to miss it. And if you're not aware what a magic circle is, when I'm talking about that in relation to the story, if you're not really aware what a magic circle is, then you're not getting it. You're not getting it. So even though I want to just present the story in an objective way so that the viewer can make up their own mind, well, the problem is if they don't know what a Necronomicon symbol actually means, and they don't know what a magic circle is, and I'm talking about, all of this stuff, well, they're not gonna connect the dots. And at some point I have to kind of like explain some of this. Like, look, this is what a Necronomicon symbol is. This is what it means, And a lot of this stuff I didn't know. I didn't really think about it at the time. So I want to just go back into this, try to wrap up this and power through with the pre-event part of the storyboard. And I kind of don't remember exactly like where I left off, but I was getting pretty close to the end. But I know that there's a lot of detail that I left out. For example, like the detail, like for example, when I say I know that I left a lot of details out in regards to the pre-event, like when like I said, when I'm explaining the pre-event, I'm not going into the meaning of the Necronomicon symbol. I'm relying on the viewer to understand what the Necronomicon symbol is. So that's being omitted from the whole pre-event story part. I'm just saying there was a Necronomicon tattoo the size of a small dinner plate on her back, and now let's move on the rest of the story. It's like, well, actually, just that alone requires like minutes of fucking like explaining. Do you know what that means? So I just dumped this last video of the magic circle. Do you know what a magic fucking circle is? And the only reason, like, I am somewhat familiar with what a magic circle is because I used to collect occult books and, as a hobby, kind of read through them and stuff. Mostly because the band I was in and the band that I had, I would write songs about the occult. Not because I believe in the occult or I'm an occultist, but just because that was just kind of, it's like a movie, a guy who makes a movie about a serial killer. That doesn't mean that he likes serial killing and he likes serial killers and stuff. It's just a story. He's just making a movie about, Michael Myers, Halloween, That doesn't mean that he's into serial killing and he's like gets off on serial killers. Well, when I was in the band, it's the same thing. I'm not into the occult, but I had occult books and I did some studying of it in my spare times to write lyrics for the songs. And so I know what a magic circle is. I'm familiar with what a magic circle is to some degree. Some people they hear the term, like I was just talking with my buddy. Now, he knows all about the magic circle. And I was just telling him, I was like, dude, did you know that the magic circle is actually like fucking, that's like occult shit. That's witches and Luciferians and Satanists ritualistically perform magic circles. It's a ritual. And he's like, he had no idea. He's like, what? He had no idea. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know that? So when I'm going into these different details of the pre-event, I'm relying on the viewer to know what a magic circle is and know what the meaning of the Necronomicon symbol is, you know? And so anyways, so I really need to power through and wrap up this pre-event story. But just know that these are things that, though they may not be anything, it may not mean nothing. Dude, like, really, when you look at it, it's, you know, so let me see if I can remember where I left off with the pre-event. So all this shit is happening. I mean, everything is about DMT. Like, I'm having to, when me and her had to move in together because of her, I had to clean out her RV, and she had an entire fucking DMT lab in her RV. Now, DMT is another thing. Like, dude, when you look at the story, for example, of P. Diddy, it's all about drugs. Like, the sex magic ritual is tied in with the drugs. They were using drugs, and they were fucking animals, and they were it was a big nudist colony party at P. Diddy's place. Everybody's nudists. They're all fucking naked, and they're all perverted, and they're all fucking animals, and they're performing sex rituals, and it's all based in drugs. They're all blasting off on DMT and GBH and just you name it, whatever. Everything is all happening. Bam, boom. It's a freak out party. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, these people, they're all into all of this shit. Sex magic rituals, manufacturing. They literally gave it to their 7-year-old son. Like, this is the kind of shit you would hear about at a P. Diddy party, is they're giving 7-year-old children DMT, you know, and like the sex part where like this guy who was their only friend exposed. I already explained this in the whole pre-event story, how he was a sex offender with a soliciting sex as a minor fucking warrant, you know. I mean, all this shit, it just piles up and piles up. And I don't know how much more I have to explain before the picture starts to become clear. And I'm not the only one looking at this going, dude, I think that this is not all just one big coincidence. So, and then, you know, then the guy dies. This guy, Todd Minshall, dies while I got the date wrong too. In the previous video I uploaded it. It was actually June 20th of 2022. June 20th was when he died. And I got back June 21st, the very next day. And that's when, like, you know, all I'm hearing about all over, it's this big rumor going around this little tiny town. There's a serial killer in town. They found the dead body in the desert. And then what does it happen to be? It's like it's her friends. She's like, oh, those are my friends. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, you know, the people I've been hanging out with, they just live a half block up the street. I'm like, yeah, then people you've been hanging out with that I never met, and you've been hanging out with them for like a year that I know absolutely nothing about. Well, yeah, those people. Okay, what about them? Well, they got in a big fight the other night, and Todd stormed out with a bottle of booze and a gun at like 3 a.m. and went out and blew his brains out and shit. And I'm like, okay, this is just the constant, never-ending black cloud that is constantly hanging over this chick, and I can no longer continue rationalizing this away as like it's nothing. It's like becoming a problem where it's like, dude, what in the fuck is going on with you? All of my friends are upstanding friends. Like, they're all decent people. They all like you. You're just a complete flat affect, just like total, like a zombie. And then you go and hang out with these fucking crazy people. Who are these fucking people? You know? And that's when I told her, like, we have fucking relationship problems, and I'm going to move out. I'm not breaking up with you, but I'm moving out. Like, you need to figure out what the fuck. You want to keep hanging out with fucking people that are guzzling booze and blowing their brains out. None of my friends do that. You don't want to associate, and you want to fuck around with these fucking festy hopping weirdo fucking Charles Manson hippies and shit and blast off on DMT and stuff. Like, you need to figure this out. You need to fucking decide. The ball has been in your court this whole fucking time. I'm tired of trying to make this relationship work while you just passively sit there with the flat ass affect and like total disassociative in any and everything, just like a blob of nothing in every aspect of our relationship. Like and you're not talking to me. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So yeah, no, you need to figure this out. I'm going to move out. Well, I don't want to break up with you but I just don't know. And this has been going on for years. Like, you need to figure out, do you want to be with me or not? Okay. So I'm going to move the fuck out. I got to go do this job in Denver. I'm going to be gone for 5 weeks. And fucking, like, we need to start figuring this out. I'm not putting a timeline on it, but dude, we've been waiting for years and years for you to figure out what the fuck it is that you're doing. What do you want to do? And so that we can start fucking doing shit. And like, our relationship is like practically nothing at this point. So, and that was where it was. And then I went to the Denver show, and then that's when the event started. Okay. And that's as good as I'm going to go into it as far as the pre-event. And as far as the storyboard goes, I'm going to be going back through all this shit that I talked about, and every detail that I forgot, like some Necronomicon symbol here or some sex ritual fucking magic bullshit there, or something that I'm going to be putting post-it notes in between it. Everything that I forgot is because by reviewing the story, it'll remind me of, oh shit, I forgot about this whole fucking thing. And this is how complex this story is. And I'm trying to power through and force it through and force momentum to get this shit going, because I have to. Otherwise, I'm not going to even do this at all. So yeah. But, I mean, when you look at, so this is 12 minutes. I'm just going to fucking riff on for another several minutes about this. Like, you look at everything. Okay, like the woman who ran the food bank. When I was trying to get this girl to connect with a woman so that she could have someone that she could confide in, so that to talk to about her problems, and I'm trying to connect her with this woman at the food bank because there's no one else. The woman at the food bank agrees, but she wants to talk to me first. I go over there, I'm talking to her, and then when she realizes who it is, then her fucking eyes drop and her face goes white like she saw a ghost. And then she tells me that guy, Victor, her fucking husband, the father of her children, is a total fucking psycho. And she says, that's the kind of guy you would see on the front page of the newspaper, having killed his wife, his kids, and blown his own brains out. That's what the fucking, okay? I mean, so these little details, that's not just some trivial nothing, okay? And you go through everything. Like, they were manufacturing DMT. They gave fucking DMT to their 7-year-old child. They're openly talking about how they're into sex magic rituals and astral projection and tarot and numerology and just all this fucking, and they're all about the festy hopping. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of details in that too. Like, she had all these weird clothes from when she used to go to these festivals. And I'm talking like these fishnets. You ever seen fishnet stockings? Well, she had a full body fishnet thing that she would just wear at these festivals, like totally nude, like where you can see her fucking pussy and her tits and her fucking asshole when she bends over, and she's just like hanging out at all these big fucking DMT fucking festivals and shit, wearing this. And she had all of this kind of weird shit, and it was like, and it was just weird. Like, well, like you would wear that and then the whole time I'm thinking she's putting all this behind her, but then she starts acting like she doesn't want to let it go. She wants to keep blasting off on DMT and she wants to have a bag of fucking acid in the fucking freezer, and then she's buying more of this weird clothes. And I'm like, why are you buying these weird fucking festy hopping clothes? I thought you were putting that behind you. And then she's hanging out with these weirdos, and they're playing Pokemon video games, and you know, very, very bizarre shit, you know? And like, I found the fucking BDSM bondage straps under the bed that I didn't know anything about. Like, they're the real full body BDSM bondage straps and leather whip. I mean, this is fucking wacky shit, dude. Like, this bitch is a full on fucking complete fucking psycho. And so is her ex. So is her fucking ex, the father of her children. And there's tons of all this weird abuse. And it was literally between him and her, it was like she was a submissive, sadist who liked being treated like shit and liked being dominated over. And he was like a fucking masochist. And that's the way their relationship dynamic always was whenever I saw them together. And then they would talk openly about how they were into sex, magic, rituals, and all this. Like, and I'm telling you, like, at the time, I just was like, you know, people, it's what they do in their sex life is their own business. You know, I don't know. What do I know about sex, magic, rituals? I mean, you have people that are into Wicca and roll around in the dirt and hug trees, and their whole code is like, do no harm. And if you don't do any harm to others, then your life will be blessed. And so I don't know what the fuck all this is. You know, I didn't even know about her Necronomicon tattoo until we got together. And then that's when I first saw all of her tattoos, the first time I saw her naked. And I mean, really bizarre. Like, you think about the monster tattoo. I'm talking about the monster drink symbol and it's a tramp stamp. Imagine a female having a tramp stamp of the monster logo tattooed on their fucking ass, dude, as a tramp stamp, so that whenever they're getting fucked doggy style, you see the monster logo is just like in your face, like. And then when you look into the monster logo, that is all tied to Satanism and shit like this, like. I mean, it just, like, these things just, all these little details just piling up and piling up. And I know I missed a ton of them. So I have to go back and rewatch the whole pre-event and rewatch the event. I have to rewatch this whole storyboard and then go back and all these little gaps that I missed shit. I have to go back and okay, I missed something there, missed something here, and fill all these gaps. And I guarantee you, it's going to be details that are important. Like, for example, the Necronomicon symbol may not seem important, but when you add it all up together, it's like, yeah, that Necronomicon symbol is an important piece. And there's like all kinds of little stuff that I'm missing as I'm going through this fucking storyboard. Important things such as, you know, Necronomicon symbol, the size of a dinner plate tattooed on her back. Like, there's all of this shit, all of it, all mixed throughout the entire story. And I have to push through the story, you know, and so I'm just like sitting here thinking, what things did I forget just in certain segments of the pre-event? You know, there's tons of stuff. I know there is. And like relevant details, like satanic symbols and all this other shit, you know? Like, for example, one of the things I started noticing, because we had like a stack of 5 notebooks in the RV. Every once in a while, I would grab a notebook because I had to write something down, like a phone number or something. And so I'd open up the book, and there'd be this random set of numbers. It was like 4 sets of numbers. It would be like 3341 space 4257 space 8688. And they're like all over in all these notebooks. I'm opening them up and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But she's been meeting all these stupid people, her pink-haired fucking Wiccan friends, every Wednesday playing online Pokemon video games. And so I'm like looking at it going, it's probably some dumb fucking code for some retarded fucking Pokemon fucking video game. That's another thing. She's heavily into anime. Well, think about anime. you got all these sexual fucking deviant perverts that are like heavily into anime. It's all about anime and like Pokemon. They wear children's Pokemon backpacks everywhere. You know, she was a furry. She's into all this furry shit. And it's like, dude, you start adding all this stuff up. It's like, dude, this bitch is like a complete full-on psychopath who is a self-proclaimed satanic witch. And there's a dead body like that her and her friends are attached to. It's like their friend, and the whole a rumor that there was a serial killer and they found a dead body on the desert. And then if you look at the event section of the story, I can prove that the cops were investigating it and that her and her friends were all the main suspects. I could get file a FOIA and get video of the fucking top cop telling me, yes, it's under investigation, even though the police department's public statement to the town is that there is nothing going on. There is absolutely nothing going on. So they're covering it all up from the very beginning. And so all this, so right now I'm just powering through the pre-event. So this is going to conclude the pre-event because I cannot just keep going. I have to fucking, I have to fucking do the storyboard. So right now in the pre-event, right now in the storyboard, I have the pre-event with all the post-it notes and the red yarn attaching one thing to another. And it's this big clusterfuck pre-event. I've got the event itself, which is the same thing, a storyboard with a bunch of post-it notes and red yarn and pins attaching shit and all this. And so now I got to do the post-event, which is going to be a bunch more shit. And like I said, once I do all this, then I have to watch the whole thing to see what pertinent details I left out that are missing, and then fill in all those gaps. And that's just going to add more to this storyboard. Then once I get this storyboard, and then I can look at the whole fucking thing and then try to figure out, okay, how do I tell this? And because, and there's so much to it. Like you got, this town is full of a bunch of automaton NPC zombies. So that's a big part of the story. That has to be, all throughout the story is I'm surrounded by a bunch of NPCs. And then we got a black witch cult involved in Luciferianism. We got a murder, a murder cover up by the police and the government, death threats at me because I potentially can expose the murder, arson, which erases any potential evidence that could be in my home that I share with this psycho bitch who's been involved with all these people. I mean, this is like one big, and then like the black eye, where I saw her and she looked like a black-eyed children with totally black eyes, like a total demon-possessed bitch. I mean, there's everything. There's all of this all mixed in throughout the whole fucking thing. The bondage straps, that fucking fucked up dude, Stefan, who claimed to be a clairvoyant, which I didn't even get into. I need to go back into that because really what it is he's involved. That's how he has this fake clairvoyancy. It isn't clairvoyancy. It's that he's been involved the whole fucking time. And I didn't really start realizing this until I start looking back and I'm like, that's why that guy knows about that's why he's having these visions of her being tied up and gang fucked. And then the next day I find full BDSM bondage straps and a leather whip under my bed. This is a setup. This is a gaslighting setup. I am being conspired against by a bunch of fucking weirdo, cult fucking weirdo, pink-haired, this is serious. This is insane shit, dude. Anyways, that's enough.